Hi, I'm Jillaine Berardi, Assistant Superintendent for CITL. Today we are on the Deeper Learning Whole Brain Whole Child podcast, and super excited to have two middle school students with us and our AP Shelbi Hamilton, and they are from Mount Marion Middle School. Hello, and we're super excited to have two middle school students with us from Mount Marion. And so I'm going to just jump in and introduce myself. You all know me, Jill. And you're going to introduce yourselves, and Shelbi will introduce herself, okay?
Great. Hello there. My name is Isaac Pendergast, and I am doing a podcast today, and I want BOCES to merge personally because I want to go to public school. At the same time, I don't want to leave BOCES. And another reason I want them to merge is because, let me get my paper. Okay, here we are. The reason I want to merge BOCES is because it has things that Weebatuck doesn't have that they need. And there are also probably things that Weebatuck has that BOCES doesn't have that BOCES needs. And I already know what that is. They have a disciplinary BOCES program at Weebatuck. And Ulster BOCES is not for doesn't have any programs for disciplinary kids, and they need that. They should merge the two till that Weebatuck can be divided into two BOCES programs, one for non-disciplinary kids, the other for disciplinary ones.
Okay, Isaac, thank you. And you said a few things there. I'm gonna hold on that, and I'm gonna come back to that and ask you, okay?
Got it.
Can we let Kestrel introduce, and then I'll come right back to that?
Yeah.
Great. Kestrel?
Hello, I'm Kestrel Holtz-Rennery. I would like to talk about, just different things to make BOCES better, and of course the portrait of a graduate, which is what this podcast is supposed to be about. That's pretty much it, because it's just introductory. Shelbi.
Great. My turn. All right, I'm Shelbi Hamilton. I'm currently the assistant principal at our CITL Mount Marion Middle School. And I'm just excited to be here with all of you today.
All right, so two things. Yes, we will be talking about a portrait of a graduate. We all know that New York State is embarking on a major revolution so that children and young adolescents can be free, have their spirit, creativity, and have some great experiences. Yes. Tell us a little bit about your background and Ulster BOCES, and what has your experience been?
I got to BOCES in kindergarten and I really enjoyed it. Hard to say how much I behaved, but I meant first grade. But again, hard to say how much I behaved because I was in first grade.
I remember you.
Yes, you do, but I just don't want to talk about it. Then I moved, and I was under Miss Wanamaker. Then I moved to Mr. Ben's class. I was a bit scared to have a male teacher, but Mr. Ben was amazing, as were all the teachers I've had at BOCES. Then the next year, I went to Miss Owen's class, and I still had challenges there, but the next year I went to Miss Diamond's class, and that's where I really saw some improvements. I was looking at a lot of things with my favorite EP3 worker, Miss June, and that's another thing I'd like to talk about BOCES. They have so many supports. They've got EP3 workers, they've got related service providers for speech, OT, ET, counseling, everything. And then I moved to middle school. I was a bit surprised by how much stricter rules suddenly got at middle school, and I did get suspended for 3 days within the first few weeks because I just didn't know how strict the rules would be, but I got into it and I'm doing great now.
Awesome. All right, there was a lot there, and I'm going to pick some of those things out later because you had some really good thoughts there, especially about community, and some of the teachers you really lit up when you spoke. Clara Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Ben. So I'm going to go to Shelbi and tell us about you and your journey. You've been in Ulster BOCES for a long time.
Yes, because I'm old, right, Kestrel?
You're not old.
Oh, thank you so much. I started at Ulster BOCES right out of school. I started in the Career and Tech Center as an instructional sub, so I got to learn a lot about the programs there. And then an opportunity came up, and I started working as a math teacher and GED teacher in our Phoenix alternative school, which was really great. It was a brand new program, and I learned a lot really fast. And I also learned there that I really liked the non-traditional ways of teaching and learning and helping students find kind of their path. And then I moved into the CITL side of things as a math teacher and worked out at Ramapo for Children with some of our OAK program. I bounced into instructional services for a little bit as a math specialist.
And then we took you back.
And then they took me back, and I'm back here now and got to start my admin career in the middle school, which we opened 3 years ago. And I've been kind of growing with these students that have been with us. And yeah, here
Awesome.
I am.
So I wanted to ask you one more question, and then I want to go back to Kestrel, then back to Isaac. Kestrel mentioned somebo's name, June, and you're going to be speaking about that in a minute. But we have whole brain, whole child is not just a nice slogan. Can you talk a little bit about the expertise and how our schools are set up to support and the great support and professionals we have?
Definitely. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest benefits of our programs, and you'll hear the students talk about it too. What really stands out is our students aren't just supported by like one teacher or just their classroom staff. Like, they really have this big team of professionals coming from all different areas of expertise working together every day to support each student. We have our related service providers, we have reading specialists, we have our classroom teams, administrators, and then we have, Kestrel talked about our PIT crew, which is our positive intervention team, which are really our crisis specialists, but they're really there to help build relationships, right? And to help students if they do need some support in a moment, but also ahead of time to help them figure ways to kind of avoid getting into the full crisis.
And maybe calm down and
to
breathe.
calm down, to regulate, sometimes just to have a friendly face that's not in the classroom, right, Kestrel? Kestrel uses our pit room and has made some really good routines in there to help support their day.
So Kestrel, I'm going to go back to June for a moment, and you talk about inclusivity and community. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, first of all, it's great to have Miss June because as it's great to have an openly out LGBTQ member in our school community who's a staff member, because I'm agender, and our school is just very supportive in general. I'm very diverse, and everyone seems and all the staff seem to get along mostly well. The students, I guess all the students in my class get along well, except and never mind. It's a really great school.
Right. So why don't you answer the question that we're really looking to really get under? Students need good experiences to learn, okay? And if you could create a day in the life of Kestrel, what would that look like? What would you want to be there?
So, first thing, we get into school. The first thing we would do is we would have, 15, 30 minutes outside. It doesn't really matter if you're running around or just sitting in the grass. The point is to get some fresh air at the very beginning of the school day. Next, of course, I don't personally eat school lunch or breakfast, but a lot of students do, so I'll just slap school breakfast in there. I don't really have any personal opinions about that. Then morning crew's kind of been, we can put it in. Then humanities block. The most important thing about this is that students get to choose. They could choose to do, it's both ELA and social studies, obviously, but they could choose to do 2/3 ELA and 1/3 social studies, for example, if they liked ELA more than social studies, doing humanities block. Then, another part of the day, we'd have about an hour of creative time. It doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as we're building something that will last. You could be coding on a computer, you could be painting a picture, you could be building a robot or a mechanism. The point is, you are creating something.
Would there be like a room you go into and there's tons of materials? What would that look like? Outdoors, anywhere?
Yeah, pretty much. There could be room, I guess. Then after that, it would be STEM block. Similar thing, if a student wanted to do, say, 2/3 science and 1/3 math, or 2/3 math and 1/3 science, they could do that. Then there would be I don't really think like bundles are necessary, but then of course there would be health class, and I do think the BOCES health curriculum could be improved, but I'm not going to talk about that right now.
I didn't hear that. What was it?
I do think the BOCES health curriculum could be improved, but I'm not
Okay,
going to talk
go.
about that right now.
Oh, we're going to have deep conversations about that.
Okay.
Started it. Yes.
But yeah, that's pretty much the day. Oh, and one more thing. I think that students should have to do activities based on how much they do them at home. So gym and art will be included in this day. But for example, say they have a mom who's an artist who teaches them a bunch of art skills at home. They don't need that as much. Say their mom or dad takes them to the gym every day. Then they don't need gym class. Say this person reads 5 books a day on average. Then they don't need a specialized reading book to read at school and do writing responses on.
So more freedom, more personalized education.
Yes, not like complete homeschooling, but if it's discovered that some of it is already being done at home, that can be excluded from the school day.
And I do think that the way that New York Education, the commissioner, is trying to work with the voice of children and staff and leadership is that not everything has to be in school, that children and adolescents, they have experiences outside of their home. And how can we bring those skills into the school and also outside and be able to utilize those as, we used to have these credits, 22 credits. And so all of that's being looked at. And when we get back to the portrait of a graduate, that's exactly that. You're talking about the skills you need in the future. Yeah. And I know you picked a couple. I want to ask Isaac something, and then can we go back to that? Yeah. And the one thing I wanted to say, you did bring up, both of you brought up a lunch and recess, and you stressed that last time. You were saying 30 lunch and 30 recess. I'm asking that because many schools only have 30 minutes.
Yeah, and Divine, it had 30 lunch and 30 recess, and I don't understand how people just think, oh, elementary schoolers, they need 30 minutes of exercise. Oh, but 3 months later you have magically transformed and now you only need 15 minutes of exercise. No, actually the recommended amount of exercise per child is 1 hour a day.
In school, or could you do it out of school and in school?
You could, but some students don't have that opportunity.
Okay. So there's got to be a little flexibility?
Yes.
But what I'm hearing you say is we got to talk to our principals, Miss Tanya, Miss Shelby, to try to get some more time in there.
Do you find time during the day outside of recess? Like, do you ever get to go outside?
Yes. My deal is that if I complete my work in the first half of the period, I get to go outside or like work on a puzzle for the second half of the period. I feel like that should be an accommodation all students receive.
Okay. Oh, we're going to get back to that too. You had a really good point with IEP, so I'm going to come back. Isaac, so you're talking about a merger. You're from Weebatuck?
Yeah.
And how long is your bus ride?
1 hour.
That's a long ride. And so you come to Ulster BOCES every day. Do you remember how many years you've been coming to Ulster BOCES?
2.
2 years. And so I heard you say there are things you like at Ulster BOCES and there are things you like at Weebatuck, but you'd like to go back home to your school district. Is that correct?
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want to leave BOCES. That's why I want to merge the 2.
Okay. Where would the physical place be? Would you bring everybody to BOCES, or would you bring the BOCES to them, or just the things that you're doing?
Bring the BOCES to them.
All the people.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I want to turn Ulster BOCES into the secondary BOCES program at Weebatuck for the non-disciplinary kids.
Okay. Non-disciplinary kids. And why is that?
Because Weebatuck's BOCES program is for disciplinary kids, and they need an extra one for non-disciplinary ones.
I mean, there's a lot of kids that externalize or maybe act out.
Yeah.
Okay. I see that you also talked about a perfect day at school, and so you have that in front of you. Will you speak a little bit to that? What you would want to do in school? I see here crew. You'd like to start the day in crew.
Yeah.
And what else did you put here? Because you named some things that were important to you.
Attendance is important because it's done at most public schools. Crew is where we talk about how we feel and let people know if we're feeling bad so they can do something about it.
Can I ask you about that? Is crew, do you all just come to the same space? Do you get in a circle? Is it fun? What is it like? What does it look like?
We stay at our desks and Miss J throws Gunther to us and we say how we're feeling.
Okay. And Gunther, what is that?
It's a talking piece.
Oh, a talking piece?
Miss J has this old thing where she used to use this talking piece like this little toy turtle with the preschool kids, and despite the fact that I think we should use a more formal talking piece, quite a few of the children at Mount Marion like it too, so she still uses it.
I like a good stuffed animal. I mean, and so I also know that you were talking the importance of gym. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? You were saying something about that yesterday that was important for you.
Because it's good to exercise. Because if you don't exercise, you could die early.
Good for your heart, definitely, and for your mind. What else would you like to talk to us about? A perfect day.
Recess, because you get good exercise. Art, because you should not. It's of the fact that I found out that you should not always compare the art to the artist. The art can be good with the artist being bad.
Okay. And where did you hear that?
My mom.
Okay. And so that means that when you're looking at the art, what does that really mean? The person inside cannot be like the character of that person, but the art that flows through them can be very good?
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting.
Yeah, so you're learning more than just how to do art. You're learning about art
Yeah.
and artists. That's very cool.
So I'm going to go back to something that you brought up, Kestrel. I want to go backwards a little bit and talk about the IEP.
The
Okay?
IEP.
Yeah, you were talking about accommodations and that oftentimes we talk about equity, opportunity, access, and that's certainly part of what this Portrait of a Graduate is, and that's the heart of where we're going for our students and graduates. What were you saying about you felt everybody should have something on that IEP, not just those that have an IEP?
Okay, there's a few. First of all, unlimited timing for tests. I mean, I know New York State is working towards it, but there are still several schools that treat New York State's new provisions, because they're not technically rules, as optional. So we need to just solidly confirm, no, students need to have unlimited timing on tests. Limited time tests cause stress and ultimately makes the kids do worse at the tests. And I think, I'm going to say this, I think we all know the purpose of state tests is not to grade the students, but to grade the school. So you shouldn't give the students unlimited time. You should give the school, like, the admin, limited time. So, sorry, Shelby.
So you just said something important. So really, it makes me think, Kestrel, is that if students or adults are learning, why are they being timed? It's really about learning that skill or competency. So why would we need to time that? Allow them the time they need as their own person. But Kestrel, what do you think?
Yeah, just no timed things on anything. The only time limit should be when you have to get dismissed, which of course you could just but then you should always be allowed to make up and save it for the next day. I'd also like to mention being quote unquote tardy. Yes, it's a problem to be late, but some students, and it's very rushed to get to school, and their parents just can't do it on time. If a parent should be able to send in something formal. Say they realize that there's no way they can get everything done without getting their kid to school at least 10 minutes late. A parent should be able to send in a form saying, okay, for this year, my kid is going to be coming to school every day 10 minutes late, and the school can accommodate that if it's like too stressful to come at a normal time. For me, it's fine, but for some people, it's not.
They need flexibility. How do you feel, Miss Shelby?
I don't know. Am I timed? Is my answer going to be timed, Kestrel?
That's not what I meant, Miss Shelby.
No, hey, listen, I understand.
I meant your time. I mean, and the time you take to grade tests, not the time you take to answer questions on podcasts.
Hey, I'm glad for the clarification. Yeah, I think all the things these students bring up is important. I think that's a big piece of what we're trying to do in our programs is to listen. I think they have great ideas, and I think most students know what is going to work for them. They may not know how to express it yet, and that's why we have all of our teams working together. But I mean, I think one of the big things is just listening and hearing, for example, how taking a timed test like makes students feel and how it impacts them and their ability to show what they know and how can we adjust that. Some things, we do have those like regulations, right, that we have to follow, but why not in a classroom test or assessment? Can't we give some more time?
So Portrait of a Graduate, you got some time to look at this with Miss Tanya and Miss Shelby. And so the good news is they're really trying to rethink what the test means. It doesn't mean we're not going to have any tests, but as of now in New York State, you have to pass a certain amount of regents, you have to get 22 credits, and then you can move on to the real world. Well, they're shifting that to really think about the future of what is going to be needed with our children, our adolescents in the real world. So the future state and the skills. Talk about a couple or one that you wanted to highlight. And really this comes down to how do we design experiences to allow students to be able to access these skills or demonstrate these skills. It's lessons and it's experiences.
So quickly before I talk about those two grades, is it okay if I do a quick segue about grades?
I would love for you to talk about grades. It's a big topic right now.
Not like the grades that students get on papers. I mean like
grade
as in grades 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 12.
Grade.
Yes, that kind of thing. So, yeah. It doesn't seem right to make it so every student always needs to go through those 12, or if you count kindergarten, 13 years. I think it should be based on their academic skill set. So you do it like this. At least for kids in the Maple program, you do it like this. Say someone has a 9th grade level in ELA, a 7th grade level in math, 4th grade level in social studies, and 10th grade level in science. Oh, sorry, I just forgot the numbers I said. But the point is, what does that average out to? That's that student's grade.
And you think they should be able to access work at the level they're at, right?
Yes, at the level they're at. And then a student gets to graduate when that average equals 12. So if someone has a grade level higher than 12 in math, but they're still 11th grade level in ELA, they should still get to graduate.
Would they be able to graduate if they've done a lot of the experiences and show skills, but maybe they didn't hit a level of 12th grade?
Yes, it could be as low as 10, actually.
Okay. Do you think, so let's go back to experiences, because really the shift that I'm so excited about is right now a lot, not all teachers, a lot still work with worksheets and sit and get and that type of thing. We are going to be designing a new lab school, and you know that. You're one of the first students hearing about this, middle school and high school. So we get a blank canvas to design this whole lab school out. We're going to be talking with the high school teachers and all of the related services and the middle school teachers, but we're asking you first, if you could design a lab and you could put anything in it. So for instance, there's culinary arts, and you know that lab is about cooking and baking and all of that. If you could design your own lab, what would it be? And then Isaac, you think about that.
Okay, so robotics, definitely robotics. So the first thing, there would be shelves full of resistors, shelves full of circuit boards, breadboards, capacitors, LEDs, speakers, whose detectors, buttons, switches, his lights, heights, heat sensors, whatever, his motion sensors, whatever kinds of components you can put in them, and just a big box of wires. And there would be like soldering and welding equipment, so you could just pretty much create any device right away. So it would also be a 3D printer in case you wanted to create like a packaging for your device.
I think we
outside of the scope.
can do something like that. Would students run that, or do you think an adult would be running it?
Okay, so would students run that? Yes, and ideally students would be running it, but because of those stupidest restrictions in the world, safety, or they wouldn't be allowed to weld or solder. Well, at least I hope they would. Maybe their parent would have to sign a permission slip before they could weld or solder, but they should be able to do that on.
Yeah, if you learn the skills of safety, I think that would be.
Maybe have someone there that knows what they're doing to help teach and then do, right? You do.
I would also like there to be a math lab. The math lab would be different. This would be to try to find math discoveries. Basically, the entire room would be filled with basically, I think the best solution here, because we don't want to buy expensive computers, would actually be, and they still make these, typewriters. Because I don't want to be able to, because I don't want to write stuff down on computers, which are too expensive. But also, I'm not very good handwriting. I'm not very good at handwriting, so I wouldn't want to do paper. So I feel like typewriters would be perfect for this. And then we just have room full of typewriters within paper and calculators, and people would just try to find new things. I am still testing a formula I think can produce prime numbers. Is it okay if I just quickly say what that formula is?
Do you want to share that?
Yes, it is 3 to the power, it's say, for example, 3 to the power of 5 minus 3 to the power of 4 minus 3 to the power of 3, all the way down to just minus 3 to the power of 1, which is equal to 3. So, yeah.
Can I ask you when you're looking, thank you. Can I ask you when you're looking at the portrait of a graduate and you're talking about robotics and going into that lab, would there be any of those domains that would...
The two most important ones would be academically prepared, as I said, which correlates to the math lab. Of course, you need to have basic understanding of arithmetic. I think math is the most important subject.
Why?
Because it's applied the most in the real world. You never, in terms of importance in the real world, from least important to most important as the 4 major subjects, you're really never going to have to know when the 22nd king of France or whatever was born. But so I think social studies is the least important. Then ELA. ELA is great but at the end of the day, and it's important, but at the end of the day, you could just type. Science is very important because I include health in the category of science, but math is the most important. In life, there are so many things that involve math. Whether you're creating a hula hoop, that was when my mom first had to use I in real life, or you are measuring a table to see if a tablecloth will fit it, or you're slicing a cake, or math is the most important when you need to do things in life.
And you made that really clear. A lot of times, we have great math teachers, and sometimes it's hard.
I swear.
No, but as a math teacher, it's hard to explain that you will be using this in the real world when you're just doing the calculations. I'm going to jump to Isaac really quick, okay, and then we'll come back.
Okay, I talked about academically prepared.
You're going to go back to creative
innovation.
Can I come back to that one?
Sure.
All right. Isaac, I want to talk to you a little. Did you pick one out on the portrait of a graduate and some of the skills there, or would you rather talk about some of the experiences like your field trips and the things you like to do outside of school or inside?
Both.
Okay.
First, I'm going to talk about the merger.
Okay.
It's also possible that either BOCES or Reimagining or both could run out of kids or money.
It's important.
Reimagining needs extra speech teachers alongside more play therapy teachers, more OT and PT teachers, etc.
I'm sure there's some pretty awesome OT and PT teachers in Weebatuck too that if you merged would get to work with more students, right?
Yeah. So, I highly recommend that you guys merge. And for those who would have to give up their jobs, instead of giving them up, you should join the board at Weebatuck. After all, while you might make lots of money at your current position, but you might make more at the position you move to.
Okay, and I think we know one of the administrators over there. Do you know Rob Kanuski?
Who's Rob Kanuski?
One, I don't know his position. I know he's assistant superintendent, but we're going to have to get a meeting going so that he can hear your voice with that. Would you like that?
Yeah.
All right, so I know Dr. Shanker said that he's going to look into that as well. And I know Rob pretty well, so I will do the same. Okay? So, all right, so the merger. So if for some reason we're able to bring some people over, or Ms. Shelby said they also have supports with OT, PT, speech, you would like to be in a program where there's not a lot of, what would we say, loud noise, externalizing behaviors, aggressive behaviors? Is that how did you name it? Discipline.
Disciplinary.
What does that look like?
It's kids melting down and acting inappropriately.
Okay. And we are all working on that. So, all right. Well, what about the field trip and your experiences that you'd like to see when you're in school?
I liked going to the apple orchard.
And what about it?
It was fun because we got to pick apples.
Did you get to, I think I asked this, did you sneak a bite of the apple?
I took them home, actually.
So what did you do with the apples when you got home?
I ate them.
You ate them?
Well, of course, we made a lot of delicious baked goods, but they were also very helpful, like in terms of making delicious baked goods.
Where did you make those, in school or at home?
At home, they don't have a kitchen at all in Mount Marion.
Well, I do think they made some applesauce in the Step Up
Yeah, but
program
they don't
with
have a
those-
proper kitchen in Mount Marion. That's another problem we have.
Talk to Dr. Berardi.
All right, I'm here. You put it in there, and then we're going to get you the budget. Then I go up to the big guy. All right, let's talk about the other one you want to talk about. I think it was creative innovator.
That all students should showcase creative abilities because ultimately those are the most important abilities in life. Sure, if you look at a desk job, that might not seem him very important, but you can still create new ways to earn money or create a better schedule. There's always an important use for creativity that is ultimately the most important.
All right, very nice.
Do you think you get to be creative at school?
Given my school days that I was suggesting, yes, I would certainly hope so.
Given your school day, but what about right now when
Right
you
now,
go to school?
I kind of.
And what are those spots where you get to be creative?
Well, mostly just during free times, but I want to separate free times and creative times because you can also just play games during free time. So I feel like we should have, that's why I was talking about separate creative times that we should have.
Like creation time.
Yes.
Like you were talking about.
And Ms. Shelby, what do you think? So you know that we're embarking on this awesome revolution and we're going to start designing, and we already have actually, different experiences. So, how do you see the whole brain, whole child approach and some of the, PBL cycles we're doing? How do you see that showing up in what you're doing already and where we're going to go with designing these lab schools?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in our PBL projects, we've really been working on, that empathy step of listening and watching students and trying to bring those that voice into what they're doing, right? Because if students like or are interested in what they're doing, that's when the learning's going to happen and it's going to stick. I think also the whole brain, whole child just shows up when we have all of those professionals and all the different domains coming together. If you walk around our school, you'll see speech teachers in the classroom doing a lesson right alongside the teachers. You'll see everyone in our Step Up Lab, which is like our life and vocational skills program, working on things together, challenges. I got to judge some grilled cheese challenges, so it was fun. And I think as far as the lab school coming, I think a big thing that we've been trying to ramp up with some of our field trips, which Isaac has been a big advocate for different field trips this year and some future ones.
Didn't he do a survey or something
He did a survey, yeah.
you created to get voice from other students?
Yeah.
How did that go? What did that look like?
I did one for cookies, then did one from gym club, then did one for ice cream. Then cookies came and I passed them around to kids.
Did they vote on the best ice cream? Did you have to pick one? What was it?
They voted on the best ice cream.
What was it? Do you
Ice
remember?
cream sandwiches.
Oh, yes. And what kind? I forget. All right, vanilla,
vanilla might have
chocolate.
came out.
I like the mix myself.
Yeah, yeah. But that actually sparked an idea for his classroom's PBL cycle this time. And we actually just had the owner from Jane's Ice Cream come out and work with the
nice.
class. And they got to ask questions and learn about the company. and that all just stemmed from Isaac's question of like, what's our school's favorite ice cream? And I'll say I'm very glad he did that because the ice cream was really good that they brought.
So just being curious, you got that going. I do want to go back to creative innovator because you, Isaac, at one point spoke to us yesterday about created a design for an invention land mower.
Yeah.
All right, tell me about that.
The land mower is something I wanted to create that will relocate a building, that will scoop up a building and put it somewhere else.
Has to be pretty large.
Yeah, and do you know a kid called Oliver?
I know an Oliver. I don't know if I know the same Oliver. Who's your Oliver?
Oliver is a guy with blonde hair and glasses.
Maybe.
See in BOCES?
Yes.
All right, tell me about what's going on.
I know him, and his dad is a scrap guy. So I drew blueprints for my land mower, and I want to mail them to Oliver's dad and have him use his scrap to build the invention.
Maybe you could work with him on it.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I can't come to someone's house uninvited,
They'd have to invite.
That's
Yes,
very true.
that's very true.
and I can't invite myself.
We can get a crew circle going and
And my dad doesn't want me building some making stuff out of scrap at my house.
I got that. Okay.
Maybe we'll need a lab.
Yep. Maybe that can be part of
Kestrel's
the lab.
creation lab.
Yes. Welding. Okay. Kestrel.
Creation, I thought I already talked about that, how creation is the most important part of life, because even if you're looking at a job that seems like it has little to no opportunity, there's always something you could do or create that could improve the experience.
Yes. If there's one thing you could tell the commissioner right now, and every educator in New York State, while they're really shifting the paradigm of education, what would you want them to know?
Kids need, and I mean need, exercise. So, how recess detention should absolutely not be allowed under any circumstances. It needs to be banned immediately. No school should be allowed to limit the amount of time their children are allowed to exercise.
I 100% agree. And before I came to Ulster BOCES, we shifted that at a school I was at. I came in and I was one of the principals and I saw that was going on. And you're absolutely right. They shouldn't be in trouble for doing something maybe they didn't get done for homework. We should find more time, but they need to be outside in fresh air. What would you do then? Why do you think they're missing recess? What are the reasons?
Well, because the teachers think because teachers assume that is the most useless time of the day, which is incorrect on many levels. Yes, teachers will assume that time of the day is less significant compared to other times of the day because the kids aren't learning. And while it's true they aren't explicitly learning, they are doing very important things like being outside, which is ultimately more important than learning to a student's physical well-being.
But do you think you could learn when you're outside playing?
Yes, you can.
Okay, yeah. What do you think? Learning from your friends or, some people just dig in the dirt. Can you start learning from creating something in the dirt?
Yes, you can. You can start learning from anything, and that's also what I'm getting at you. It's just not fair to confine children to being in quote-unquote detention when what they really need to be doing is like being outside in nature.
All right, so we tell the commissioner we believe it and desperately needing time outside, and kids have the right for their humanity. How long do you think they should go out for a recess to play?
30 minutes.
Just 30 minutes?
Or maybe longer. If gym is also 30 minutes, then that's fine because kids are getting the hour a day they need.
And you also put that in the beginning of the day, you had 15 minutes.
Yes,
so
15 minutes.
If there's 6 hours in a day, roughly, how many hours should be on free play? Or you can learn when you're playing, but how much overall the whole day? How much time?
Well, for recess, you mean recess, outside time.
Recess, outdoor play, free time, relax.
Wait. I'm not counting the creative time as free time.
No, that's an hour. You already put that in an hour block. I'm not talking about that.
Okay, well then it's just the recess in the gym.
And then the 15 minutes when you come in, right? Okay, so it's about an hour and 15 minutes you want to, yes.
And then also, but remember, all of these blocks, other than that exercise and the creative time, like the STEM block and the humanities block, if you complete your work early, you do get extra free time and consider and for me, at least in my case, there's plenty of time to do that.
All right, Isaac, how about you? How long, what if there's one thing you want to tell the commissioner and the leaders of New York State that are leading this change? What would it be?
I would tell them that BOCES and Weebatuck have things that each other doesn't have that each other needs.
Okay, so maybe there's inequity, that some schools need to have some of the resources and programs that other schools have. Yeah. And so that maybe we should be looking at different regional schools and what do they have that are making students learn, thrive, and be happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Shelby, what are your thoughts?
I have a lot. Just listening to these students talk, get your brain going. I see you taking notes over there. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going in a great direction. I think we have a lot of opportunity coming up with opening, our lab school, and that I know at our middle school, we've been pushing a lot of not separating academics from all the other learning that happens. And I think, working towards really like keeping it all together, realizing learning's happening all the time. Learning's happening when kids get curious. And when do kids get curious? When either they're giving the time to get curious, when they're seeing adults model curiosity and learning about what they like and asking questions. I think bringing in opportunities. We talked about like our Step Up program and our PBL projects where people are all coming together to give students experiences in the kitchen, or we have a laundry service. And while students are doing these life-based skills, they're also working on academic-based skills and social skills, so it's happening all day, all the time. And I think our students are going to leave, our middle school and go into our high school at a really good place, having that well-rounded, whole child education behind them. And of course, there's a lot of things that can be improved upon, and, listening to these really brilliant students and really taking into account what they say. I think we're going to every year get closer and closer to that perfect school that Kestrel and Isaac were talking about.
And I think it's awesome that we have all of our teams involved in really looking at designing learning experiences. So a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap it up if there's anything else you want to say. So I want to know, because of all of the skills and competencies and the great, the idea that we're really trying to prepare kids for the future. Cass, what skills do you think students really need for life after school?
Well, again, as I said, math's the most important.
Yes.
But ELA is also important, but even more important, again, is, as I said, was creativity.
Creativity, okay. And how about you, Isaac? What do you need to be ready to graduate one day?
Skills.
And what's one of the top skills you think you need to do?
Detect the day of the week a person was born on.
Oh, I forgot you could do that. You want to try that?
Yeah.
Has he done yours yet? All right, and we have a couple other people here that we can do that. Okay, so Isaac, if you tell him your birthday, he can tell you the day you were born, your birthday and your year. So
Birthday in the year.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right. I was born on March 1st, 1995.
March 1st, 1995 was a Wednesday.
It actually was.
all right, and then we looked it up. Do you two? Let's see. When was your birthday?
August 11th, 1988.
A Thursday.
I was born September 6th, 1997.
September 6th, 1997 was a Saturday.
Okay, how about you?
December 12th, 1992 was also a Saturday.
Oh,
Saturday
I can't
birthday,
believe it.
Isaac.
How do you do that? Do you see that in your head? How do you?
I look at a calculator. I look at the calendar app on my iPad and go back to a certain year, and it will tell what day of the week a certain date was.
But you don't have your iPad.
And yeah, in your mind, you can see
Remember
that.
it?
Yeah.
You can see it right in your mind.
Yeah.
You remember like years back, cells will like.
why-
tell
that's
you-
a-
Kestrel could probably come up with a math equation to help do that too.
Oh yes, no, I don't need to. Ooh, it's in one of my books.
So you have something like that as well? Yeah, I mean, mine was on a Monday. You already got mine, which makes sense.
Oh, nice. You're not going to give your year of birth.
I have my year of birth. My year of birth is 1973. How old am I? Don't tell. 10 years
on,
off. No,
come on,
take
this-
10 years off.
Not that big. 1973. You're only 2 years older than my dad.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Brings you 52.
And I'm only 4 years younger than Dr. Schenker, our superintendent.
Oh, yeah.
I'm younger than him.
Nice.
So that's good news.
He was born in 76, not 70.
How did you remember that?
What day of the week was it, though? Isaac?
Really?
It was a Friday.
Yes, he had us both in there.
Friday.
I mean, did you have to tell everybody? I think he looks a little older than me. Shh.
Yeah, he is a little
Don't
older
tell
than you.
anybody. Okay. Anyway, all right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say? This was awesome information. I can't wait to dive in to start really, thinking about our lab schools and asking all of the staff and then creating. That's what we're going to be doing is designing and creating in the next year and a half. And you too will be a part of that. Because when 2 years from now, they'll be at the high school.
Isaac will be in the high school next year.
Okay, so he'll be ready. And Kestrel, when you come, that's when the brand new lab school for the high school opens up.
Ooh,
Okay?
you'll be the first freshman class.
Well, I'm honored to have had this time with you all. Thank you. Any last thing to say, Isaac?
Yes, and if BOCES moves out of its current buildings, I know what you're thinking. What will we do about them? Fair enough, and I'll tell you.
All right, tell
if
me.
they merge, we should turn their original buildings into apartments.
Oh, that would be a good idea. Do you think you'd move there?
No, but there's another reason BOCES should merge is because some people might make a needed place that will need a property that big.
Yes, and places to live. There are many people that need.
I've got a problem. I know Jill an hour away from our school, but if BOCES moves to Reimagining, then I would be an hour away from BOCES. You see what I mean? It would
Could you go every other day?
I'd use my land mower to merge your neighborhood with mine.
That's a great and creative solution to that problem.
no, I think
Maybe
I
we
would-
just need a multiplication ray to make multiple BOCES.
We have one more person, Bryce. He's going to tell you, if you would tell him your birthday, he's going to tell you, and year, what the day you were born on.
the day of the week.
Okay, I was born on September 14th, 1993.
September 14th, 1993 was a Thursday. Or wait, not a Thursday, a Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah. That's good. Well, we're going to wrap up. This was an awesome conversation. I can't wait to have stage 2 of this conversation. We got a lot of nuggets here.